Okay, good morning everybody, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. Thank you for checking out this video. I hope you find it interesting. This is my name is Brian Dunn. This is my artificial light and evacuated tube boiler. Patented. Issued January 2nd, 2018. Had a 1,003-day adjustment. That's how long it took the Patent and Trademark Office to figure out what they wanted to do with it. January 2nd, 2018. Patent issued. I'm going to show you basically the point of this video is, well, the point of the invention is these evacuated tubes were originally intended to collect solar energy and produce heated water, some kind of heated fluid via solar energy, off the grid kind of stuff, cut back on electricity usage. My idea was to bring it inside, put some light bulbs next to it, keep it low wattage. This entire setup right here is a little over 1,500 watts. We have 6 250 watt light bulbs and a pump. I believe, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I believe this pump is about 60, maybe 80 watts to run. So this whole deal is a little under 1,600 watts. The effect on the fluid inside the system is directly correlated with the amount of wattage that you use in light bulbs. These are, like I said, these are 200. This particular test I'm going to show you is 250 watt halogen light bulbs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 3 tests. I'm going to show you a static test with the pump off. This wire is disconnected, the pump will be off, all these valves will be closed. The second test, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to start the pump, I'm going to open these valves, and I'm going to open this valve, and the water will flow from the pump through the header. This is what it looks like inside the header. Basically, this here, I believe this is 1/4 inch line. On the inside of the header, I believe I used 3/8 inch aluminum tubing. It looks a little bit more like this. So the water is going to flow through those coils, back out the header, down to these manifolds. It's just going to do a short circuit. It's going to go back up into the pump. And then the third test, I'm going to close that valve. It's closed right now. I'll have it open for the second test. I'll close that valve and I'll open these valves. And I'll put water through this coil that I made, this A coil. It'll go through one coil, go through this little loop, and then loop through the other coil, and then re-enter the manifold. So that's it. That's basically it. We'll start it up. Right now the internal temperature of the manifold is 57 degrees. It's 1:15 p.m. Let's fire it up. Get my trusty assistant here. Choo, that's bright. So that's what it looks like when it's fired up. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this an hour, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more, and I'm just going to give you some quick hourly updates and show you what this baby does. So, like I said, it's, call it 115. PSI is at 0. Temperature is about 50, 56, 57 degrees. We'll be back in an hour. Okay. 1 hour later, 2:15. Again, this is a static test. All the valves are closed. Everything's closed. Pump is not running. When we started this, I think it was 50, was it like 56, 57 degrees? This is an hour later. I just saw, oh, I got a little leak. Looks like there's one drop down there. I'm not sure what to do about that. Anyway, looks like it's not too bad. Maybe a dribble. Maybe a drop here and there. 160 degrees. So 105 degrees in an hour. Is that right? 55 to, give or take. So that's about it. Again, I just wanted to explain that the internal volume of these tubes and this header are the same. These tubes just feed up through this little stub that I have welded to this. So it's all one common internal volume. Oh, something else I forgot to mention. These tubes are only filled about maybe up to a little more than 3/4 of the way full. So there's not actually water in this header. It's heating the water in the tubes, and that heat is being transferred up through this header. And then these lines are separate. This line is contained within it. It's just its own separate entity that flows through the header and then loops back around and flows out of the header. And then when water is pumped through it with this pump, then that water picks up the energy or the heat that is contained in this header and then leaves and goes to wherever it is you want to take it, which eventually will be something similar to this coil. So I just wanted to reiterate that. Again, these tubes were intended to be outside to collect solar energy. I brought them inside. And you can still run this entire thing off of solar panels, too. The energy is so low that, I mean, you'd basically it'd be like running a space heater off of solar panels. And then, of course, at night, when the sun's not out, you can run it off the grid. You know, when there's a foot of snow outside, you can run it off the grid. So anyway, I'll be back in an hour. Okay, I just want to give a quick half-hour update. It's been a half an hour. $215 degrees. I don't know if you can hear that or not. You can hear it boiling inside these tubes. So I'll be back in another half hour. Okay. Half hour later, 2 hours total. About 215 degrees. So we didn't gain much in the last half hour. This is actually a lower. Earlier in the video, I told you that I had only filled the water up to about here, rather than filling the entire header and everything. One of my previous tests, I had filled the header about halfway. I got up to 240 degrees. So this is a little bit less than that. I'm going to go ahead and run the second test. I'm going to open these valves. I'm going to turn on the pump, and I'm going to open this valve. So I'm basically just going to do a loop like this. It's going to go boop, and then right back up into the header. And we'll be able to see the temperatures on these two manifolds. The water's just going to go down that pipe. Let's see, where is it? Right here. And then right back up into this one. So these valves are open, 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 open. Once I open this, you should see this little flow gauge. Yep, it dropped down. So it's flowing at about a gallon a minute. .8 gallons per minute. You can see this temperature really moving up. Let's watch this one. This one already moved pretty good. Let's watch this one. So this was cold water that was sitting in these manifolds and in this line here. These copper lines. It was probably the same temperature as the header was when we first started, probably 55, 57 degrees, something like that. This dropped back to, it's still dropping back, 185 right now. So I'm going to let this run for a minute and I'll be back. Okay, this is an hour later, 4:15. $180 degrees, right on the money, 180. Pump is still running. Try to get this to focus. Doesn't want to focus. It's about 162 degrees. I don't know why this thing isn't focusing. Let's see. This one's about the same. 162 degrees. It enters this one first. Goes like this. Back up to the pump, from the pump to the header, and then back out of the header and into the red valve one. Red valve first, blue valve second. Can't get this to focus. Anyway, that says 162, 163, and this is about the same. 162-ish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this valve. I'm going to open this valve and this valve. I'm going to run it through this A-coil that I have made up. Again, this A-coil, it holds a lot of water and it's all ambient temperature. 55, 60 degrees. So it's going to take a while. I'm going to let this run for 2, 3, 4 hours. I'll come down and check it periodically. But I'll show you what it does. I'm going to close this. You'll see the pressure. Boop. And then I'll open these. When I open this one, this should drop back down. There she goes. Let's see, it should. Yeah, ooh, that's hot. It enters this side first, cycles through the coil, comes back through here, and then cycles through this coil, and then back up to the pump. And then back up to the boiler. And these are dropping fast because of that cold water. I don't know why this isn't. There it goes. You can see that gauge dropping. All that cold water that's in those coils. The temperature gauge was up right over that 160 mark earlier. So I'll be back well, I might, yeah, I'll be back in an hour. Okay. This is an hour later. Header temperature just a little below 160. Call it 160. This is obviously warm. Going into the coil. $110. Leaving the coil, going back to the boiler. 108. 109. So not much temperature drop. The water entering the coil, and then the water that has returned from the coil is pretty close. This is going to the coil from the header. We'll call it 110. Leaving the coil, going back to the pump. 109, 108, 1 or 2 degree difference. I'll be back in an hour. Okay, this is an hour later. I don't know why that doesn't. Anyway, that says 110. So it's come up about 1 degree or 2 in the last hour. Same with that one. So, not much change there. This is a little bit under 160. I can't remember what it was an hour ago, but that's where that is. So, you know, something else that I didn't mention that's very interesting about the patent is that, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that the patent covers any artificial light source, not just halogen. So that's pretty interesting. I might make I just want to say my name is Brian Dunn. I live in St. Louis. My phone number is 314-771-6001. Call me anytime, leave a message. I work crazy hours, so I turn my phone off a lot because I sleep all kinds of crazy hours. My email is bmmd23@yahoo.com. bmmd23@yahoo.com. So I'm just going to email. You know what? I might do another test. Last time I did a test, remember this one. The water's only filled up to a little bit below the bottom of that coupling. I'm going to do another test. I'm going to fill this header up. Last time I did that, the temperature gauge almost maxed out. It was a little under 250. I think it maxed out about 242, 243. So I might try that again. Thanks for watching.